G'day ladies and gentlemen, the Betterman here, and there is an evil parasite infecting people's minds all over the globe, and it is being delivered by the social media app TikTok. It is creating the most insane people of all time, and that's what this video is all about today, where we look at people and we go, you know what, my life's hard, existence is tough, I can't afford this, I can't do that, but at least I'm not as insane as this person.
Today what we're going to do is we're going to shout, Free Palestine. Can I hear that?
Free Palestine!
Ooh.
If you're a drag queen and you know it, shout,
Free Palestine!
So we have a drag queen story time, which I will never understand why drag queens feel the need to have story time, who is also teaching kids to say Free Palestine. Now, if you want my honest opinion on the Palestine and Israel conflict, which I'm sure you're all been just fucking waiting to hear an Australian comedian who's never been to the Middle East talk about it. There's a whole video about that from last week or 2 weeks ago. But here's the thing, if you are, number one, a drag queen, for some reason, reading to kids, is it really up to you to teach kids that they need to believe that Palestine should be free, whether or not you believe that? What about teaching kids about the intricacies of the conflict in the Middle East, and particularly in Gaza and the West Bank and all those other places? Like, you need to be able to teach the very difficult nuances in what has happened there and what is happening there now. There's no doubt what is happening to the civilians in Gaza is absolutely horrific. But to teach kids just to say Free Palestine without any information is ridiculous. They're just saying it because you're telling them to say it. Now this is interesting because it's happening to children, and that's why it's probably in this video. But it's also happening to celebrities at the moment. There's a big push on TikTok right now for random people to block celebrities who haven't come out and said Free Palestine. Now, here's the problem with that. You just want them to say the words, even though they may not mean it. And this is what these kids are doing. They don't mean it. They don't even know what they're saying. And it's the same with the college kids. They don't know what they're saying. They're just saying it because they're scared about saying anything else or asking a question. We should always ask questions and hear information from both sides rather than being indoctrinated by a fucking drag queen.
if you're a drag queen and you know it and you really want to show it, you're a drag queen and you know it, shout, Free Palestine!
Is there kids there with trans flags too? Oh my God. This is what I'm talking about with this parasitic mind virus. Gard Sard's got a great book on it. If your skin isn't brown, you need my permission to speak. Okay, the Black Messiah, you're racist.
If you are not black, if your skin is not brown, if you are not melanated, then you do not have the right to come under my videos talking back to my people.
Wow. Your people. You speak for all people with more melanin in their skin than me. Okay. Let me know in the comment section if you are melanated and if you have elected the Black Messiah to be a racist for you.
Your opinions are not wanted, nor are they relevant.
Have you got a comb over with dreadlocks? That's interesting.
So why do you feel like you need to come and keep saying something?
Why are you so angry?
To my people.
They're not your people. You don't have anything in common with them other than your skin color. And there's a lot of people that have existed in the world that have the same skin color as me, and I don't feel a connection to them at all. Yeah, that's not my people.
You need to ask me my permission before you speak or comment on my videos. You come under my video and say, Lord, may I please have your permission to say something? Then you wait for me to give you my permission.
So this is the issue with social media. If this was a conversation that I was having with her or you were having with her, you'd just say, hey lady, shut the fuck up. But with social media, you put something out there, and if you don't read the comment section, then you never hear anyone say anything negatively towards what you're saying. When, in reality, she needs to hear that she's a fucking idiot. She needs to hear that. She needs to get those sound waves to go into her ear and then compute within her brain to understand that she is a dead shit.
Before you start tapping, moving your little pasty fingers around on my...
Pasty fingers? Leave me alone, lady.
You people have been talking way too much for way too long, and your time is officially up. It is Black Power forever.
I'm still the big dog, baby. Okay, let's read this. Things in an LGBTQ plus youth home that just makes sense. Let's turn down the music because it's copyright. It's that one. Closet full of clothes she wants / chooses. So is this a child that was a boy? Is that what we're saying? Or is she a girl? I don't know. Our home is a safe space rainbow sign. Well, that'll keep the fucking demons at bay. What you're doing is you're bringing up a child and you're indoctrinating them into a way of thinking. Now, I would be very interested to see if you brought your child up, and like obviously there's nothing wrong with being gay or trans or any of that type of shit, or lesbian. If you brought your child up surrounded by the pride flag, surrounded by all of these, you know, hey, this is pride and we're LGBT in this family and all that type of stuff, I wonder what the incident rate of them actually being gay, queer, trans, all of those type of things would be. I would absolutely argue that there would be an increase in those kids being one of those letters in that alphabet because they see that as a way to fit in. Not only do they see it as normal, and it is relatively normal, although the normal way to be is not to be one of those things. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but there's a reason that it is like that because human beings are meant to procreate. That's why the vagina is a cavernous hole and the dick is a little thing and you spurt the sperms, etc., and that's how babies are made. If that just blew your mind, you're welcome. Men and women are supposed to be the ones that have sex rather than men and men. But also, we as a society have moved past that. We're like, yeah, cool, do your thing, whatever. And who cares? But if you were brought up to think that, oh no, it's pretty normal to be LGBTQIA+, would you then choose to be that? That's the question I'm asking, that's all. Being a supportive sibling / ally. Hang on, why? Oh, so it must be a little boy that's now a girl at a very, very, very young age. Families who are always here for you. Which is beautiful, but I don't know, I just feel like you're creating someone into a mold that you set for them. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section. I might be wrong, but I think I'm pretty spot on.
I know that you're not going to like hearing this, but abortion is also a men's issue and a trans issue.
No, it's not.
We are at the 1-year anniversary of the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, and I think folks still don't know that abortion is an intersectional issue. Abortion is a trans issue not just because trans people get abortions, but because trans rights and abortion rights boil down to the same thing.
Do they?
Which is government control and what you and I do with our bodies.
But you are able to do whatever you want with your body. You can block your hormones, you can change your hormones, you can get your surgery, all that type of shit, as long as you're not a child. I will never understand the argument for children changing everything about themselves and about their biological form just to fit into what they believe they are in their head. And if that upsets you, then you are a part of the problem. Sorry.
As uncomfortable as it may be to hear, abortion is also a men's issue because trans men have abortion, trans masks have abortions.
Because they are women. You know who has something in common with trans men and trans masks, meaning masculine people who have abortions? Trans men and trans masks. Not fucking me. I've never had a baby growing inside of me. So I therefore have nothing in common with the trans man who has a baby growing inside of them. Is that so hard to compute? Surely not.
And we need cis men who don't have the capacity for pregnancy to be fighting for abortion rights.
Listen, that's a whole nother fucking conversation, all right? I'm not going to argue with the abortion fucking thing here. What I'm arguing is that trans men, if they're having abortions, they might be women. Now, there are some things in this video that aren't just from TikTok. They're from other parts of the internet. And this is interesting. This is from Age Regression Safe Space, which means people who are trans age. Yeah, this is Ella, and I will hide Ella's photos for now. Ella's big age is 21. Okay. Little age is 2 to 4 years old. You'd think you would just pick an age, but anyway. Gender is trans woman. Sexuality is lesbian, so and CG equals no. Don't know what that fucking means. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Ella, the 2 to 4 year old who's actually 21. These are the people we're supposed to take seriously. Great to meet you, Ella. Good luck at preschool.
You wrote, so if someone that isn't white hates on a white person based on their skin color, what do you call that? You're not going to like my answer. Okay. I call it justifiable. White-bodied people.
White-bodied people. fuck you to the moon.
Have conquered and colonized almost this entire planet.
Yeah, and before that, people of all different skin colors have done it in the past, and probably in the future they will as well. To say that only white people have colonized or taken over countries is just to have a history book that stops in the 1700s. And that's on you, mate.
As a history teacher, I teach my students about the scramble for Africa.
Do you teach them that most of the people that sold slaves were other Africans? What about the fucking millions of white people who were slaves in parts of North Africa? Are you teaching them about that as well? The other horrific things that have happened to people based on their skin color? No? I bet you haven't.
Countries came together to decide which parts of Africa they were going to colonize. And then about the Age of Exploration, in which Europeans sailed over to the Western Hemisphere and committed genocide against any and every indigenous population they came across.
Yeah, horrible. No one's doubting that. That's awful. But for you to say that you can't be racist towards white people is just flat out wrong, incorrect. And as a teacher, why you have a fucking TikTok account, I don't know. As a teacher, you should be fucking ashamed of yourself because you're teaching young people to think in your fucking ridiculous, I nearly said the other R word, your ridiculous way of thinking.
And then I teach about the transatlantic slave trade and then slavery.
Okay. What about all the other slaves? What about the white slaves? What about all the other colours of slaves that people have had in the past, mate? You can't pick and choose this shit. It's history. It's real.
And then the war on drugs, and then mass incarceration, and then...
all very much horrible, and particularly affected black people in America disproportionately. But to say that you can't be racist towards white people is still wrong.
So you ask me what I call a person that hates on a white person because they're white? I call them a reasonable human being who's just making decisions based on reason and experience.
This is what's known as the white savior complex. This man thinks he's going to save everyone. He's going to be the hero. He's the leader of the whiteys that are going to save everyone that needs his help, which is absolutely more offensive than anything that you could say to anyone who happens to be a different skin color to a white person. Without a doubt.
Did you know, however, there is a gender identity that is linked to the seasons? This is called gender season.
I have a whole video on this. Go and watch it.
And this is a gender identity I've only just learnt about. It's a micro-identity.
A micro-identity,
not an identity that I have ever heard discussed before. It's a new one for me. Gender season is an individual who explores their gender identity in relation to a season.
I wonder what people in the 20s, in the 1920s looked at like this. Was there something that the youth was doing, like Gen Z is doing this shit now? Was there something that the youth was doing that the people in the 20s looked at? Let me know in the comment section. Was there something that they looked at and go, these people are mentally ill, they need help, like what is going on here? I think if you're genuinely worried about what gender you feel in what season, there's so many other questions about your life that you need to sort out. There's so many other problems that you're dealing with. And the number one thing that you shouldn't be doing is making TikToks and trying to convince other people that you are reasonable. You are not reasonable. You are a loon. You are a loon!
Indigenous Victorians could soon be exempt from paying stamp duty and land tax.
Some people in the state of Victoria here in Australia may not have to pay stamp duty, which when you buy a house, you have to pay stamp duty. I don't know what it fucking means. It's just a tax, right? You might not have to pay that particular tax or land rates. You pay to the council to have your land, which also is fucked, all right? I paid fucking an outrageous amount of money for this. I now need to pay you more. That's ridiculous. But what's also ridiculous is deciding that some people don't have to pay it because of the colour of their skin.
The Premier has refused to rule out the controversial move, saying the government won't publicly reveal what is being discussed at the treaty table.
Oh, that sounds healthy. So they're trying to work out a treaty between Indigenous Australians and non-Indigenous Australians, and this is one of the things. And they're not going to reveal what the topic of conversation is. Wow, that is great transparency for the people that you elect.
No land tax, no stamp duty. Auntie Jill Gallagher says those exemptions will help close the gap.
Hey, Auntie Jill, fuck off.
Our people weren't allowed to own land or houses.
Horrific.
Back then.
But they are now, and they have been for a long time. So Mate, I mean, why do you get treated differently because of the colour of your skin? That is not equality at all. That is not appropriate. That is not good. That doesn't help people. Every Aboriginal person I've ever spoken to doesn't want to be looked down upon, and this is looking down upon people, and it's shit.
It's got to go hand in hand with one of my other asks or aspirations was that interest-free loans.
Auntie Jill also suggests the changes should come with strengthening of the Aboriginality test.
Why? Why would you get an interest-free loan based on your ancestors? That's crazy. That's crazy, mate. You don't deserve that. There are so many people in this country of every different skin colour who right now in Australia, the interest rates for mortgages are through the roof. People are paying like double what they were paying 2 years ago. And what? Because of your ancestors, you deserve one without any interest at all? That's fucking crazy, mate. That is fucking crazy.
Florida has passed a new law that requires kindergarten students to learn about the evils of communism. For anyone unfamiliar with the ideology, communism is based on a classless society where people are not divided according to wealth and resources are distributed equally among citizens. The US...
That's a nice way to talk about communism. If you didn't know, communism's actually really great. I can't believe Ron DeSantis is doing this. What a goose.
The US, by contrast, is built on a system of capitalism.
Evil.
Centred on individual gain and profit. The US and its allies faced off against communist countries during the Cold War from the 90s.
The issue with communism, of course, is people who end up being in charge in communist countries end up killing everybody.
So that's the background. Now to the new law. Starting in 2026, Florida's Education Department will carry out age-appropriate curriculums about communism for students in all year levels.
Honestly, I think teaching anyone about communism at that age is ridiculous. Like, just fucking sort out their alphabet first. And then obviously teach them about the 400 different agendas. But perhaps we should have conversations about communism and teach kids, like, particularly before they get to university and just they turn into fucking Mao Zedong cuck boys and girls, that this is a terrible way to run a society. On paper it might make sense, but unfortunately human beings are horrific people. So yeah, maybe don't teach kindergarten kids about communism, but bring it up eventually. Now, this last video is absolutely going to blow your mind. It's talking about AI and probably something we should all fear, because if you want to get taken down and cancelled, people can use AI to do it. This is crazy. This is Baltimore High School athletics director charged for using AI to create a fake racist rant by a principal. This athletics director has made it look like this principal has gone off the fucking rails and attacked black people.
I seriously don't understand why I have to constantly put up with these here every day.
Wow.
These ungrateful black kids who can't test their way out of a paper bag.
Wow.
And don't let me get started on DJ. I'm going to drag his black ass out of here one way or another. And if I have to get one more complaint from one more Jew in this community, I'm going to join the other side.
It actually sounds like my stand-up. Ladies and gentlemen, that is concerning, that's worrying, and that's the shit that we're going to have to deal with over the next, I don't know, decade. It's only going to get more and more convincing. And basically, I think the best way to say this is we're all fucked. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, good. Make sure you subscribe. If you didn't, suck me off. I will see you next time. Be a good motherfucker. Peace in the Middle East. Me dick stinks.